thought I'd do a reading of my newest novel, The Joining. Later I'm going to take off, go do something a little bit crazy. That's kind of the way I am. I'm going to go on top of a mountain and read it to you, but here, just for now, I'm going to read you the prelude. Most people say that this novel catches them in the first 3 pages. In fact, one of the reviews goes like this. I hate you, a wife who's off on medical leave. Can't get out of the bathroom. Can't put your book down. From Bruce. Prologue. Somewhere in the darkness, coarse flax fibers of a hangman's noose sing. Its hollow voice swinging to the hangman's beckon. Waiting for answers, buried into the gargle of time and the finality of voices ending. From the stillness comes a subtle calling, echoing reminders of what remains, disturbed and unsettled. Catch you on the mountain. Okay, so for today's reading, I'm going to read the first 3 pages of my novel, The Joining, which people say usually pulls me in very fast. I thought I'll do something crazy. I'll take it from the top of a mountain. What the hell? See that unusual place to read a book, just to grab people. Some of you that don't know, native lore has it that the space between 2 trees that have grown together like this is called a portal tree. If you walk between that gap, you travel between dimensions. It'll transport you to other lands. My character Charlie uses these a lot to travel. He's a shaman and he travels through these trees to another place. So let's see what happens. Now you don't. Where'd I go? Everything's dark. What's going on here? Did I ever get too old for this? Or my next reading of a novel is going to be on a lake shore where it's level. Okay, this is a bit steep, but here we go. So behind me is what's called a nursery log. For those of you who don't know much about BC, hello.
Hi. Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Oh, okay. Has given birth to, well, at least 3 or 4 other trees. Quite amazing. Even nature. Death gives life. Trying to catch my breath. It's a steep hike. So as I mentioned, I'm going to do the reading for my novel, The Joining. This is the new cover. This is, oh shit, sorry. That's that's the new cover of the book. The opening to the novel. And I'm going to shoot various readings as I go back down. So it opens. Front desk man Samuel Desmond's eyes opened in horror as the wet, naked man thumped towards him bearing only a bath towel, a watch, and a look of a man stepping into a war zone. The splodge of soapy footsteps echoed behind him as he thumped down the ornate front staircase of Victoria's Fairmont Empress Hotel. Sir, do you realize you are naked in our lobby, dripping soap and water all over our new and very expensive Asvanagan rugs? The man banged his head on the counter. Water splattered. I'm wet, pissed, cold, and locked out of my room. Jake Holden, Blanchard Suite. How are you? So for those of you that are not native to BC, this is a Douglas fir. It's probably 100 years old. It's quite old. Samuel looked down, bowing to the sheer anger and seething in Jake's eyes, and clacked away on his booking computer. He hesitated a moment, pressed the button for the day manager, and summing up his courage, turned back to Jake while water continued dripping onto the counter. It would appear that you are not a registered guest. I would need ID to let you back into your suite, any suite. Jake stepped back, opened up his towel, says, "Does this look like I have any ID on me?" Samuel's eyes widened in shock. "But I'm not allowed to let anybody in without ID." Jake rewrapped the towel, leaned over and grabbed the clerk by the scruff of his neck and effortlessly pulling him over the counter until all Samuel could see was a man's watch. Mickey Mouse decorated it. His left hand stood at 10, his right hand at 2. And just for you guys wanting to know, this is another portal tree. This is probably at one time in history grew off of another nursing tree. So this is all one old tree. So again, if I travel through here, I go through dimensions. At least that's the legend. Jake, the only idea I got are these fingerprints. If you don't let me back into my room, your faces will become an ink blotter. Capiche? The private cell phone rang as Carol Ainsworth, obstinately day manager, actually undercover cop on assignment, was about to bolt from her office in response to Samuel's panic button. She wasn't sure what she would expected to find, but a naked 6-foot giant of a man across, yelling into Sam's face and half dragging him across the counter wasn't on her list of possibilities. Not in a world-class hotel like the Empress of Victoria. Damn, forgot to turn off my phone. Carol glanced at the text from her sister, and the first word on it was urgent. She paused. Her sister wasn't a person to send idle chat. Urgent. Nathan has vanished. As she quickly texted back, Samuel struggled to reach the buzzer to try to get Carol again. Ain't crossing into that dimension. Let's try this one. Now you see me? Now you don't. Where'd I go? Everything's dark. What's going on here? She texted back. Samuel struggled to reach the buzzer. Oh, I'll wait. Go ahead. At least it's a gorgeous day, isn't it? I'm just interfering as much. We'll call ASAP. Carol turned off her phone and quickly marched over to the front desk. Her and her sister Barbara didn't talk much, but Barbara was never one to overreact. Whatever happened to her nephew must be serious. So much for a quiet first day in a job. Okay, calm down. One thing at a time, she thought to herself. Yes, sir. How may I help you? She dropped her hand to gain comfort in a holster she didn't have on this assignment. Damn it. Shouldn't have listened to those morons tell me not to carry. Her cop instinct took over, mentally noting every detail of any possible importance. White, Caucasian, 6'2", light tan, light brown hair, Mickey Mouse watch on left wrist, ripped to the max. Probable weightlifter, strung out in steroids. People hiking by. I'm on a hiking trail, so there you go. Geez, I might as well be back in the skid rows of Vancouver. What the hell would a real hotel manager be doing right about now? She tried to think of something, anything she'd learned in the last week of intensive hotel management training. They'd put her through in preparation for this assignment that would be of any possible use to her in this situation. As a street cop, she'd just chop him across the back of the knees and slap the cuffs on him as he fell. Somehow, that didn't seem like the way to treat a guest of this grand establishment. Right? Plan B, definitely lock him up and then ask questions, though. Jake looked up. I asked for the hotel manager, he growled. Carol glanced around the newly refurbished lobby with gold balustrades and pastel-mounted panels. Fortunately, no other guests were milling around at this time of the afternoon, so hopefully this wouldn't turn into a full-blown media fiasco. That was the last thing she needed, considering the guests would be arriving in the next little while. What seems to be the problem here? She folded her arms in front of her. What seems to be the problem here? She folded her arms in front of her. I asked for the, and I, sir, am the hotel manager. Before I discuss anything with you, you will let go of my desk clerk. She caught the near imperceptible rise of his eyebrows, and gently, the Fairmont Victoria Empress Hotel does not take kindly to guests, hotel guests, strolling naked in public areas, nor do we care to have him accosting our front desk staff. His eyebrow raised higher as he glared at her. Carol has certainly handled bigger men. She stood her ground and glared back. If she hadn't been on Simon, she would have told him to drop the desk clerk before she could shove his eyebrows so far up his ass, he'd have to take a laser scope to get him out. But since she was, she didn't. The glare down continued as Samuel's face turned redder. Finally, Jake broke eye contact and glanced down at her name tag. Carol had established control. She allowed herself to breathe, time to press her advantage home. I said, let him go, and I'm not telling you a third time. Jake lowered Samuel to the ground. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't expect a skirt. I mean, a female manager. And I certainly hadn't expected a gorgeous brunette. She even looked good in her standard, dressed for all sizes and shapes, corporate uniform. She wasn't intimidated in the least, not by his size, nor by his state of undress. In fact, she was absolutely in control of the situation. There was something very sexy in that. He liked his women assertive. His eyes, though, her eyes, though, something in her eyes grabbed him in the guts. There was something about this woman he knew almost nothing about, stirred his blood, and wearing just a bath towel probably wasn't such a good idea, especially in the light of what he did know about her. She was undoubtedly Canadian undercover detective on duty, Carol Ainsworth. Our file reports didn't do her justice. Something about this woman he knew almost absolutely nothing about stirred his blood. And wearing just a bath towel? That probably wasn't such a good idea. Especially in the light of what he did know about her. She was undoubtedly Canadian undercover detective on duty, Carol Ainsworth. Our file reports didn't do her justice. Jake Holden, and you have my apology. I've been a little overstressed at work, and I needed a quick weekend trip. It was partly the truth. He'd taken his time to get away from LA, a place where you always had to watch your back, and no man was a friend, especially the crazy ones strung out on drugs. Carol made sure Samuel was breathing well on his own before she shook hands. The touch sent an electric shock jolt through her. He glanced down and smiled. No ring. Possibilities.